What's happening, guys? Lock Jimmy here. Today we're going to go over lock picking, the mechanics of it, how it works, why it works, and things that can hinder you when you do it. And to finish off the video, I'm going to pick a lock to show you what we've learned today. Alright, what we've got before us here in the vise is the core of a key, the core of a keyway. What we have sticking up, these are the driver pins or top pins. Under them are the bottom pins or key pins. Now let me zoom in. The way that lock picking is going to work is you're going to take your tension wrench, and though you can't pick it like this, but you're going to put it in the bottom of the keyway. There are some that are top of the keyway. Oops. Come on. Zoom in. There we go. And the way lock picking works is you're binding the lock so you can manipulate it. But what I'm going to show you right here, give it a background. You're going to take your pick, and this is a hook. This is a fairly aggressive hook. Not the most, but anyway. When you go in, you're going to go in, you can go in straight and you're going to hook. You go in and lift up on the pins. You'll see as number one starts going up, there's the driver and there's the key pin, bottom pin. Now that would have been overpicked because in between those are the shear line. So right here is where number one is picked. And the driver may fall, but now let's move to number two. See? Going back down. We lost him. Anyway, you see you see how that's working. I wanted to set this up so you can see the actual what's happening on the inside. You see him? And you move on to the next. The more you get used to it, I'm doing this through a camera, so it's a little harder for me to judge, but you'll learn where your pins are. You'll learn how you could take your pick and maybe not this one. Let's grab one. Take one that doesn't have like a short hook. You could take one like a short hook like this, not as aggressive as the first one, and you're going to go in and bury it to the bottom and pull back, and you'll count, because there's spring pressure pushing down on top of these. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do it again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can count and you can feel each time you drag back. That way you know what you're up against, because you can put more in if you know what you're doing. But let's get set up for a lock pick. We're going to pick a Brinks. Not exactly a challenge lock, but it's good enough. And then we'll gut it and we'll talk more about what we got going on the inside. Give me just a moment. Okay guys, let's pick the Brinks. Then we'll gut it. I'm going to use, let's use the bottom of the keyway tension. This is the Peterson style pry bar. It is by Sparrows. Don't know, let me zoom in. I'm going to show you a cool feature. You see right there, grab something to point with right here. Those little teeth. This is called a dog ear. That's better. And those little teeth are used to grip the keyway and bite, because you're going to take the top of the keyway Sorry guys. Take the top of the keyway and you're just going to put him right in and pry back and forth. But don't really need it right here, I don't imagine. I'm going to take the, you see it's locked, take the tension wrench and let's use the quadruple, or the quadruple peak. It's like a Bogota with one more. We'll go in and we'll let scrub. Up and down, back and forth, different angles. See, we got a little bit of a fault set, so we are going in the right direction. Oops, slipping out of my finger. Let's get him open. Now I have just light tension. And it's okay to cock and reset. Let's try the hook, and let's try zipping. Bury it and pull. Bury it and pull. Brinks must have some surprises in here. I haven't been in this lock since it was rekeyed, and I did not rekey it. There we go. All right. Well, let's open him up. It's got a detent. Let me grab the pinning tray. Let's do this. Let's do this. Get all this junk out of the way. Push down the detent. Now they have tools for this, and later on I'll show you how to use those, and the fairly easy and fun. You got all your detent spring, the detent, and the cap. This is kind of a knockoff of a Schlage with, what is it, quick set technology, kind of a blend. Get the plug follower. Sure I'm going in, right? There we go. Just follow through. Alright, oops. See what we got. Number one, standard, 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 standard. Oops. Number 5, standard. What do we got going on here? Got a little bit of decent technology, and if you look, how these are kind of counter milled at the top, chamfered. That allows for gripping and makes it just a little bit harder. Just another challenge to have to overcome. Let's just keep going. All right. Zoom in maybe a little bit. What do we got? Number 1. Easy. Standard. Get the springs later. Uh-oh. Huh. Got a spool. See that? Got a spool, number 2. Looks like a factory. 3, what we got? Standard. 4. You hear him popping me in there? Another spool. And number 5, standard. All right. Dump out the springs. Look at the springs. That's interesting. In the springs, they have 4. Okay, I'm sorry. I saw the detent. 4, 5 steel springs. Well, let's take a good close look at the pins. All right, now that chamfer that I was talking about right here, I guess what that was for, let me just grab a spool. Now the spool, what they're meant for is, get out of there. They're to make our lives a little harder. Let me just see if I can get it to focus. Now you see how that, it goes and it can wiggle a lot more. It wiggles side to side. And what happens is when you push up on that pin and you have the core in a bind, it comes up and this first part grabs. Well, you think, okay, I've got a false set going. So you move on to the next one. Well, because it is like a little bit of a dumbbell, see if I can get a good shot of it for you. It's like a dumbbell. So it'll come up and grab. So you go to the next one. The next one grabs or slides through, but next thing you know, you grab another one and it's a different distance or a different size, like this one. Let's grab him, sorry, he went flying. But what they're meant to do is, well, once you've got it in a bind, the core in a bind, you have to let go some to get the next one in, because it's closed behind it. It's like it's like holding your fist. It's like holding your fist closed, sticking it in the door and trying to pull it back out. It's just not going to happen. That's what happens. You grab the hold of these, you have to let go. The pins that you've already picked and have bound, they drop down. So back to square one. That's the beauty of raking and learning your tensions. Well, guys, I do appreciate your time. I hope you learned something. I hope I didn't mess up too much this time. So please subscribe, and every chance you get, rock out with your lockout. Lock Jimmy. Peace. I'll put this back together later.